Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. You know, today is usually the day when I mow the lawn, and you can see the clover is getting a little high, but last night I saw my first lightning bug, or fireflies they're called in some places, and I can't mow it now. You know, I love lightning bugs and fireflies, so it's going to have to grow a little bit longer, and you know, that's the way it is. For today's project, we're working on the second of a few of Abe's tools, Abe Elias, and this is a nice Bahco number 31 wrench. It's a very popular wrench. It's got the alligator jaws in the back, and this one's a little bit rough to start off with. We have I didn't really photograph it too much before, but we're gonna do a nice job on this wrench. Let's get started. Okay, this is after a 24-hour soak in vinegar and a hand wire brush, not even the wire brush yet. So you could see this is, like I said, this is the Volvo, you know, the wrench that came with them, and this is a Bahco made in Sweden, uses V-steel, very good wrench. The problem is somebody replaced this. This is an original. You could see this is wobbling here, the wrench, and this is frozen. It's still frozen shut. So we're going to hit it with the wire brush, dismantle it, and we'll be back. Okay, now to get this out, what I did was I used the vice grip like this, and you have to grip it, you know, get a good purchase on there where it's nice and tight, and then wiggle it back and forth until you can just spin it out and pulling it on it. Now this wasn't this, I can't believe this is the original one. You know, this is some kind of, you see how that is? I don't know what that is, you know. So we'll take that out of there. We're going to fabricate a new one. Okay, secondly, you can see here this is still frozen in here. Okay, now when it's frozen in here, the only way you could do it, really the best way, is to put a punch in this way and knock it out. And I have just a punch. Okay, remember this wood plank we put on top of the vise. Okay, now you can see here going through this hole, this is the perfect punch for that. You see that punch right there? Just put it in here. It's nice and wide. Place it here, and then we'll just knock it down with a hammer, and this should come right down, because there's really nothing that could really hold it in there now that the wheel is out. And you can see light taps, you can see it moves right out. So also some grime came out of there, but you can see the rust. See the rust that's it's over there. We'll tap this out some more, but just give it another tap. But you can see the rust that's in there, and that's what was holding it. So that's no problem. Here we go. You see this? Look at that rust that's there. You see that? Now that's no big deal. The gears are, the teeth are fine, but over here we're going to get in there with the Dremel and with the round wire brushes that I tell you that you have to get in there to clean it up. And I'll show you how easy it works once it's cleaned up, because it's not bent. Now these, I'll tell you, these things have come in handy so many times. You buy them on Amazon. They're round wire brushes. What I like to do is I cut the tip off and put them in my electric drill, but this is such a tight fit here. You could see, and you just pass it through and then pull it back. And you could see, you do that a few times and you'll see the rust just disappear from in there. And then and then you take the Dremel and you get the side ends. We are at our post wire brush evaluation. You can see how nice that metal comes out. When you got good steel, how nice that comes up. Doesn't that look nice, you know? But it's, again, it's got the forge marks and everything. Look at the jaw. Remember I said how easy that would work? It was just the rust that was holding it. It's super smooth. We got to address the jaw low a little bit, take care of these dents, but it does close nice. It's going to be a beautiful wrench. The only thing we have to do is fabricate a pin, a new pin. Always the thumb wheel comes out real nice, right? And this had a little pocket, possibly for a small spring. A lot of them had that, but this looks like it was already fabricated. Looks like the other screw fell out, and they probably just took a screw like this and ground the tip down that it would fit in that pocket in the bottom. You see that pocket down there? And this part is threaded. So we'll just make a new one, and we'll do it with the slot instead of the head, and Bob's your uncle. Now to make this pin here, you can knock yourself out trying to find out what thread that is. It's not a common thread. So I have a piece of all thread, or threaded rod as we call it here. And this one here is 10/24. It's a very common size here in the States. So what we're going to do is you can see how close that is. It's very close. It actually almost threads in there. But we're going to drill it out, tap it to 10/24. Then we're going to get the length. To do that, you just take a rod in here, put it down like this until it bottoms out. put your nail there, and that's the exact length that you'll need of the pin. And to find the thickness of the pin, you know, that goes through here, we use our trusty pin gauge, okay? And here is a pin gauge. It's a set. And what you do is you would take it like this, you know, with your hole up here, and you would just go down and put it over here until you get the right size. Now, here is 122nd thousandths, okay? And you can see here it's tight, it's snug, it's getting in there a little bit. So we'll drop it down to 121 thousandths, and that's just perfect, okay? 121 thousandths, no play, yet it spins easy. So that's what we'll turn it down to on the lathe. So let's get going. Now we cut off a piece of that all thread because you're always going to have some waste, you know, and you don't want that full 36 inches hanging out the back whipping around. So you cut off a little section that's workable. Now what we're going to do is we want to have this much threaded and the rest of it non-threaded as the pin. So because this is such a thin piece of stock, you want to really support it. So one trick is to drill a little bit of a detent in there and support it with the tailstock, and that's what we're going to do first. Here's our finished part. You can see here, this is the right thickness to for the thumb screw. You can see the hole. And now what we're going to do is we're going to tap this hole to a 1024. And this is the drill that you would use for 1024. It's a number 25 drill. And you could see that we're lucky because it does pass through already, so we don't have to drill it out. And the tap will just go in there. And then we have to make sure we go through straight, but this is a tapered tap, so that should draw it right through because the hole is already there. Now, sometimes when you're going to put the wrench into the vise, it's always a good idea to put, if you don't have soft jaws, a piece of cardboard works wonders in here, and that's what we have. We have two pieces of cardboard to hold it stiff without really doing any damage. We didn't work on the surface yet. Now, when you're going to tap something like this hole, it's very hard to see where the hole is, so it's a good idea to use your drill bit and place the drill bit in here like this, okay? Put it in there, and you can see now we're off to the right, so we have to straighten it out. We straighten this out, make sure it's straight up and down, because when you're tapping, see, it's got to be perfectly straight up and down, because when you're using a tap, you're going to be, you know, going straight down. So once you see that, that gives you a good indicator is a rod or a drill bit, and then now when going to tap here, the two things you need, you got to make sure you get a lot of lubrication in there. Flood that hole with lubrication. I'm using Pro Tap, and that's from Tap Magic. Now, you can use different types of tap handles, okay? There's the traditional, this type here, and you could use this type here. The longer one is better for me, and I'll tell you why. You don't need the leverage with this because it's a small 1024. But when you put this in here like this, now you have a visual indicator of how this is, if it's off to one side, because I want to remember, I know this hole is straight up and down, and I want these perpendicular to that hole so I could start it nice and easy and drive that through. So that'll work easier than using the small tap handle for me. One other thing to remember, because this tap is so small and these handles are so long, it gives you a lot of leverage. You got to be careful. So I only use 2 fingers on the tap, and make sure you don't want to grab it like, you know, like you're tapping something heavy duty. Remember, these are high speed steel taps are also very tempered, very hard, and they could snap easily. So you got to be very careful when you're tapping. And we did that. Okay, we finished up the pin here, and you could see there's little grooves from what's left over from the threads, but that makes perfect little grooves to hold the oil. And you can see here's the thumb wheel, and you can see how this fits. It's a little, there we go. Look at that. Fits beautifully, right? Now when this goes in here, again, it's all threaded, and we'll put this in here. We'll thread this in, and that little about the 16th or 1/8 of an inch fits in that little pocket there. And Bob's your now that the repair is made, you can see now, like I said, it's reversed. So as I push this up, that normally would close it, it opens it. So that's why we don't use these here in the States. It just messes you up when you're trying to use it. But nice and smooth, works good. Now we address how the wrench looks. You know, now that we got it working properly, now we're gonna, and I want to make this all shiny. See, anything that stands up, but I like this area here, so let's get to that. We'll take it apart and clean it up. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what this Bahco adjustable wrench looked like before we started. And we're going to call this wrench done. You know, this is such a classic wrench, and these things have been going for a lot of money, so I didn't want to, you know, elaborate too much on this and customize it. But what I did was I left the original finish. You see this original, it's like a textured finish on here. You see it? And I left that all on here, but what I did is I satin finished the top here, and you see, look at how smooth that is. I can't even tell you, that is like glass smooth. And you could see the repair we did in there. That's, you know, it's a beautiful wrench. And again, I did the back here, or the alligator part. Same thing, made that, so it just stands out, right? It's a classic wrench just the way it is. I wouldn't even fill this in with color because I know Abe's favorite color is this certain kind of blue. He loves this kind of blue, and he can always fill that in if he wants to. But I mean, that is just beautiful. I mean, there are guys out there that really look for these wrenches, and like I said, in the States, I have one of these. I don't use it because this screws me up. You know, that should be closing it, and you know, we call that a left-handed wrench here. So really nice, huh? This one came out really good. I'm really happy with this one. This Bahco, 8-inch Bahco, and I guess that's model 31 with a V-steel Sweden. Look at that, just beautiful, huh? Okay, that one's in the can. That was a nice project, huh? Okay, in closing, we have a, I was upstate yesterday, beautiful day, and shot a couple pictures. Hopefully it'll relax you a little bit for the rest of the week, so enjoy these parting shots and have a nice day. Take care now. Thanks very much for tuning in. Bye-bye. Now, the only thing more lovely than this, right? Look at that. Okay. Okay, you admit, right? That's lovely, but look at this. Now, see her sitting there? Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? You don't see that too often. As I got closer, I realized that she was actually a little button buck. Isn't that nice?